I didn't really like the kitchen growing up. It felt like punishment to me. My experience in the kitchen was washing up lots of dishes or helping my mother with prep, but it was never a place I looked forward to being because my mother didn't really create a space of love and fun where she shared and passed on important information about nourishment. So I hated the kitchen. And if someone told me then that I would enjoy cooking today, I would have called them a liar. Interestingly, though, my mother always told me that my aunt, her younger sister, used to hate the kitchen. And today, you cannot get her out of it. She loved the kitchen. She loves cooking for herself and for her family. I always wondered if that was going to be me someday. I used to laugh at myself about that. Like, I wonder if later on I would really love cooking. My mother never really inherited that gene. I don't think she herself enjoyed the kitchen. She just cooked out of obligation, really, because her family and her husband had to eat. But it was never something that came from a love for nourishing herself and her family, which I think is a short on a feminine trait. You know, women should want to nourish and feed their families. So she didn't really have a love of kitchen to pass on to me. But my love of food and cooking came later on, especially when I started to eat more vegetarian. I had so many different options of tastes and texture to choose from. I used to cook before, but I just was not really inspired by raw meat. I didn't like the smell. I didn't like cleaning it up. I didn't like cutting it up. And all of that energy I was putting into the food that I was preparing for myself. Something is wrong with that. Now I love to make myself a meal. And I love even more when I share it with ones who appreciate the effort I put in, the taste, and the benefits of the food. I think it's so important that we think about the benefits of the food that we eat because food is medicine. And as women, also, it's important that we get back to having a love for the kitchen. I know it sounds very backward and, like, oh, a woman's place is in the kitchen. But really, a woman's place is in the kitchen. A woman is a natural nurturer. The fact that out of the two parents of a child, the woman is the one who from birth is given the responsibility to nurture and feed the child says it all. A woman should want to nurture the people around her. She should feel motivated to make sure that everyone around her is well fed and not just fed, nourished. I think it is so important that we start preparing our own food and stop eating out as much as we are doing now. I guess it's a thing that comes with progress. People have more money, they have more disposable income, and so they want to go out and dine out. I suppose that's fun. I used to do it, so I get it. I used to eat out a lot, so I get the fun that is in it. But it's just that it's not the best thing for us. Funnily, this video was planned way before this whole drama that happened at Hero Circle, but it just proves even more that we need to be more mindful of our food and the energy that goes into its preparation and also what goes into it. When you eat from your own kitchen, you are 100% sure about all that goes into it. And you can put all of the nourishment that you need in it. That is good. Unfortunately, there's no seamoss in this. I was just feeling lazy today but I'm gonna put some seamoss in my smoothie later on. But there's no seamoss in this. It's just shatavari, coconut milk, honey, a little cinnamon, and it's made in coconut water. So shatavari kind of remind me of Horlicks for all the Jamaicans, my generation and older, because I don't think the generations after us really know about Horlicks. I don't think so. I want to talk a little bit more about seamoss. I know I talk about it a lot, and it's not just because I sell it, but it's because it's one of the most nutritious things that you can eat, right? It's one of the best things that you can add to your diet. And us black people, Jamaican people, you know, we've been eating so poorly. Even though for the most part, you know, Jamaicans have been saved by the fact that we live on an island and we have a whole lot of fruits and vegetables, and when they're in season we eat a lot of it. You know, when guinea is in season we eat a lot of guinea. When mango is in season we eat a lot of mangoes, given that you love these types of fruits. But when they're in season we consume a whole lot of it. I can't speak for myself, but I'm sure it's the same. When you go to markets, the fruits that are in season, you see them in the markets. Somebody is buying them, right? When there's pear in season, we eat a lot of pear also. Speaking of which, I have a whole pear that I'm going to devour after this video is done. But I think that's really what has saved our health, because we're starting to eat a lot more like North Americans, and we're seeing cases of Jamaicans being more and more sick. You know, all of these lifestyle diseases that are coming up for us. So apart from the fact that we aren't putting any nutrition into our diet and we're not focused on nutrition, we're eating a lot of garbage as well. And so, but I think that at the very least, you should try to eat some nourishing foods. Those types of things. I'm just doing everything that I know my body needs, especially for what I want it to do. And so I think these are some of the ways that we need to support our body more, you know, giving it the type of food that it needs for it to assist us with whatever it is that we want to do, right? This is our vehicle, and so we have to take care of it just like we take care of the cars that take us around. We have to service it, we have to give it engine oil, we have to give it coolant, we have to, all of those things we have to do in order for it to function properly, and the body is the same. I know there's still a lot of confusion about seamoss and what to do with it. Most people don't know what to do with it. It's a pack of purple seamoss that's on my website, right? So this is one of the chunkier seamoss. You know, they come in different forms. Some of them are really thick, and the thicker ones tend to give you more gel, and then you have the thinner ones that aren't as thick, but the gel isn't as thick as this. The gel isn't as thick as the gel that you get from this, but the benefits are still the same. They say the purple one has more minerals than the other white or golden seamoss, but I think any of them are good. Honestly, I think any of them are good. I really don't. I wouldn't say one is better than the other, in my opinion. As Jamaicans, we kind of grew up with a lot of sea moss around. You know, we always know of sea moss, Irish moss. Every Jamaican knows Irish moss, big bamboo Irish moss, you know. So we're used to it. We know it. It's when the world started going crazy about sea moss, it's like, really? This is something that we have a lot of. We're in the middle of the Caribbean. The sea is surrounding us. So we know about sea moss forever. Irish moss is actually a drink. You know, there's a history behind that. If you want to know, just go and Google it. But most people still don't know what to do with sea moss. You give them a pack of, I can't tell how many people I've given sea moss to, especially my family members. I've given them sea moss and gone back to them house and still see it on the counter like months after. it's still there. I remember my mother's friend had cancer, and I gave her a couple of packs, and I'm sure, and she passed now, RIP to her, but I'm sure if I were to go to her house now, I'd still see the same pack, because I went there long after that and it was still there on the counter. And I figure it's because most people just don't know what to do with this stuff. But it's so simple. To me, it's so simple. You know, people will buy raw meat from the supermarket. You wash it. What do you do with it? You skin it, clean it up, clean off all of whatever, clean up the blood, clean up the intestines, and then you cut it up, you chop it up, bones and all, right? Then you wash it and prep it to cook it. That's a long process to me, and that involves an animal, like a whole lot of cleanup. This is so simple. All you have to do is you either can soak it or you boil it. If you want to use it faster, I say you boil it. Old time people always boil it, right? I like to use it raw, so I tend to soak it overnight and then I use it the next day. But either way works. If you boil it or if you soak it and then blend it, it works just fine. One of the best ways and easiest ways I think to use it is to make a gel from it. When you make the gel now, you can add it to whatever you want to add it to. So after you've soaked it or after you've boiled it, you put it in the blender with some water and then you blend it out until you get a gel. The thickness of the gel will depend on how much sea moss you use, and this is gonna come with trial and error. So after using it a couple of times, you will figure out how much sea moss you use to how much water to get the type of thickness that you want. It's all down to preference. Do you like a thick gel or do you like a thin gel? And then after that, you can add it to whatever you want to add it to. So I'm gonna share with you some ways that you can consume sea moss. One of the really great ways that you can use sea moss, and a lot of people don't know this, is that you can add it to fruit juices. You make a mango juice, add a couple spoons of the sea moss gel to this fruit juice. It will make it a little bit thicker, but it will still taste nice. If the sea moss has too much of a fishy taste, then you can add a little bit more lime, a little bit more honey, or whatever your sweetener is. And yeah, it tastes good. You're already getting vitamin C from the mango, and then you're gonna add all these additional minerals to the fruit. I mean, that is a meal by itself. The other way I like to have sea moss is in a salad. One of my favorite ways to have it. I actually have a video, I'll link it, where you can go and watch. I did a sea moss salad. It was inspired by Asian cuisine. I used sesame oil and, you know, what else did I use that was really Asian? I think ginger and scallion, and yeah, so I like to do all of that. Sometimes I like to add fruits and give it a little fruity taste. I love pepper, so I love to add lots of pepper, even though I'm on a break from pepper. But you know, Scotch bonnet's always good with flavor, so is cayenne pepper as well. I mean, fresh cayenne pepper is good for flavor. I love to add kale to my sea moss salad. You know, get that green in, and yeah, anything that's gonna add to the taste and make it really nice. That's what I like to add. So that's it. It's just like any other salad. You add what you like. What if you want to add nuts, you add nuts. If you want to add dry fruits, you add dry fruits. Whatever it is that you like in a salad, and then you mix it up and make it nice. You can add it to your cooked food. You can add it to your stew. You want a little bit of thickness, you add it to the stew and give it some thickness. And then that leads me to the next thing, which is soups. You can add it to soups. I love making seafood soups with sea moss and other sea vegetables. And in fact, I have a video of a seafood soup that I made. I'll link it as well. But there was no sea moss in that soup. Although I do add sea moss sometimes, but that particular one that I added was just, I think it was nori, wakame, and what was the other one? There was another one. I can't remember now. But most of the times, yeah, I'll add sea moss to it and make like a seafood soup. Of course, without fish, because fish isn't the only seafood. Sea plants are food too. I love adding sea moss to teas. I mean, just a spoonful of the gel you can add to your tea, make your regular tea, and then you just add a spoonful. I actually have a video. It wasn't a hot tea, but I made tea with, what I called it a juice, but with sorrel. It was sorrel juice, but it's really tea because you dry it. No, I blended it. I'm lying. It was a blend. It was a juice that I made actually with sorrel. So I blended it. It wasn't drawn. So it wasn't a tea. But anyway, I linked that so you can go and watch it on how to make a juice with sea moss. And I actually went through the entire process of how to make the gel as well. So you can go back and watch that video. But you can definitely add a spoonful to the tea. And what I love about sea moss is how it helps you to absorb the nourishment from other foods. So when you add it to other things, other herbs, it helps you to be able to absorb what you need to get from the herb or the fruit or whatever it is that you're eating or consuming. Another favorite of mine is porridge. I love to make sea moss, banana, and nut porridge. I love adding it to porridge. It's one of my favorite ways to have sea moss in a porridge. It's just, it gives you this thickness, it gives you this texture, this consistency that I love in my porridge. I don't know, nothing can do that for me like sea moss. I think I have a short of me making a porridge. I don't think I have any full videos of me making a porridge, but I'll link, if I can, link the short and you can see the process. It's a very short process, of course, but you can get it, you know. I wasn't always good at making porridge, though I love porridge. Ever since I was a baby, I love porridge. My grandmother used to have her help her make cornmeal porridge for me all the time. So I grew up with a love for cornmeal porridge. Porridge in general. So it didn't even have to be just cornmeal. I just love porridge. There's something very comforting about it for me. And I love comfort food. I really do. Healthy comfort food. I try not to get addicted to comfort food that's not healthy, or comfort food that's gonna make you sick. Stay away from those. Sea moss in a porridge, very easy, very easy. As I said, just go and watch the reel and you can see the process. But I didn't really learn to make porridge immediately. I made lots of mistakes, and that's the thing you have to be prepared to do when you're cooking. You have to be prepared to make mistakes and learn from them, and don't make the same mistakes again. So I made porridge quite a few times and failed until I finally got it, and I've never been bad at it again since that. The next way, and I mentioned this before, is Irish moss. Lots of Jamaicans know what Irish moss is. It's a type of drink made with sea moss. I think it's sea moss, flax seeds. People use milk, whatever type of milk that you want to use, and it's spiced up with cinnamon and nutmeg, and I think people add thickeners in it as well. I'm not sure what thickeners. Sea moss is thick itself. You don't really need to add thickeners to sea moss. But I guess the branded company, the branded sea moss, like the bamboo sea moss, big bamboo sea moss, I think they add thickness, but I think that's just to stretch the sea moss, you know, because they're mass producing a product. So they're going to want it to stretch. So they'll add things in there so they use less sea moss, because sea moss isn't cheap. And this is why it's best that you make your own stuff because you know exactly what's going in it. Argument done. Lastly, I would recommend that women who are breastfeeding or women who have issues breastfeeding, you know, if you have to be away from your baby, you have to, I don't recommend it. I really think that it's a horrible thing that women have to separate from their babies, from their infants when they're breastfeeding particularly. It's just an unfortunate situation. But if you have to, if you must, I think seamoss is one of the most nourishing things that you can give a baby next to breast milk. I know of a sister who made a seamoss drink for her baby using hemp seeds and seamoss. And you know, after blending it, it came out looking like milk. And if you add a little bit of honey to that or a little bit of agave, trust me, the baby will hardly notice the difference. It will taste very similar to breast milk, and then they're getting a similar type of nourishment from the seamoss. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And even when the baby starts eating more solids, you can, you know, puree fruits or puree different stuff, and then you can mix the seamoss into it as well, so you get that extra nourishment with the seamoss gel, the seamoss gel I'm talking about. As I said before, the first thing you need to do if you want it to be easy for you to use is to just make a gel, make a big batch of gel that you can put down in the fridge and reach for it whenever you want it. You reach for it and then just add a spoon or two to whatever it is you want to add it to. I just wanted to share this because I think it's important that we start thinking more about our nourishment as a people. I think a lot of us are deficient in so many things because we eat for taste and we eat for belly full, but we don't really eat for nourishment. Yeah, I really think that we need to revisit that. Alright guys, thank you so much for staying with me and hearing me out what I had to say. And this is a very important message, I think, because as I said before, food is medicine, right? So it's very important that we consider what we're doing as far as food is concerned. And food is energy as well. You know, it's a part of earth that we are putting inside of our bodies. And so we have to be mindful of exactly what it is that we're putting in and the energy of whatever it is that we're putting into our bodies, because it's going to affect the way how we feel, and it's going to affect the way that we approach life in general. Again, if you want to get some purple seamoss, you can get it from my website, tropicanaturals.com. The link will be in the description, so you can go directly to that. And yeah, take care of yourself, and we'll link up in the next video. Alright, bye guys. See ya. This is so good.